Okay, we are live. This is Talia with Talia Talks. I am so super excited. And like I just have a guest here who I'm so excited to honor and to share the floor with. I'm gonna give him the opportunity to introduce himself and we're gonna go right into our good old interview questions.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so for me, I just wanted to like basically stress to everybody who's listening. I know you from Buffalo, from the music scene, and I was literally just sharing with you how exciting it was that someone who is in my network, because we have a super, super exciting event today, shared literally your music, and I just was so excited to see you lifted up on the West Coast. So like, can you just, introduce yourself as an artist, maybe like let them know where to follow you, and then I will talk about the track that I selected to be our interview track, if that's okay.
Yeah, so my name's Aiden P. I go by La Ape. That's my stage name. And I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. And I've been doing music for a while now, on digital platforms and all over the West Coast and, all over upstate area. So, yeah, that's me.
Okay, and they can follow you on Instagram. I know that I follow you, and they can also find you. I feel like you have a cajillion friends, like basically the entire West Side on Facebook, which is our barrio, or like our neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just so proud of you, and I'm gonna spend some time talking about why. But I feel like, first of all, like when my neighbors say that they're artists or creators, like I take that to also mean that you're in business. And the way that I've seen your leadership articulated is just like for what I would call like value driven business. Like you, to me, just like embody what Westside Business is. So we're going to get into that. You already know, shout out to the Westside Business Taxpayers Association, and all the other business associations in the Westside, Thusave, Grand Street. And then also talk about like your motivation. And then I want to talk about some of the shared work that we did and where else they can see some of your messaging. So let's talk about the track that we selected slash I selected for our interview track. For me, interviewing people like you is tremendous, and I like to do like pre-reflection and post-reflection. Music is one of the ways that I use to reflect, and I remember asking you like, hey, do you mind if I select this track to be our interview track? Do you want to say which track that I selected?
Yeah, you selected Secretos. And I actually just recorded that. I wrote it a while ago, but I just recorded it, put it out there, and it's already over 2 days ago. And it's already over like 2K views or something like that. I mean, it's big for me. So pretty.
It's an amazing song. Like I'm screaming at you. I told people, I was like, when I get excited, I scream. It's an amazing song, and I think one of the things I always ask my artists about, like I had an opportunity to interview Street Soprano one time, and I literally looked at him and other artists, and I've been like, tell me about your art. So like tell me about the visuals that you put out with that, how you paired them, because that was really fresh. Like algo que I was like, oh, this is innovative. I love it.
So it is the video is animated. I chose it that way because I feel like it nowadays, people like animations. Like that's how they express themselves. When it's a drawing, something like that. It's a form of art. So, and I love the idea. So I was like, you know what, let me make this an animated video. And the song is basically about finding your love and not being in this world. It's out of this world. It's in another universe. And in the video, you see a girl coming down from space. Like per se, like an alien. But and I fall in love with this creature, and it's like, oh my goodness, where did you come from? I've been waiting for you my whole life. So it's one of those kind of love.
I'm like the West Side.
Right, right, right.
So the art for me centered, right? Because I had the opportunity to interview with another amazing interviewee, Kyrie, and he asked me about Buffalo, and I was like, it's a long table centered in art. So for me, like pairing your vocals, right, which I feel like are amazing with the art, it made an experience. And I remember messaging you almost like I'm listening to your song right now. Like I'm like
Right.
leading this experience. And for me, like I think the other thing that I love about the theme, right, is like also just like the way I'm starting to understand us, other Latinos, and like our history and kind of like the relationship Tainos had with the spiritual world, and like how that element is really lost in a lot of our conversations and in our organizing. And I felt like you kind of almost alluded to that.
Yeah. I would say that I'm very close to the spirit world. And that's just how I was raised. You know, they tell us all the time, they give us the bendición, Dios te bendiga. Every time you see an older aunt or uncle or mom or dad, you got to say bendición, and they say Dios te bendiga, which means God bless you. And that's just a thing that you go everywhere doing. And I guess that makes me closer to the spirit world. And every time I do any kind of music, I always pray before I release it, just to make sure there's something that I actually feel in my heart belongs out there in the world. So yeah, I
Okay.
definitely.
You're perfect. Because literally, when you said they say the bendición, when you said the spiritual or like you connected with it, I thought of my grandma who says, or who said, rest in honor to her, tu nunca andas solo, like sola, like you always walk with
Yeah.
with God. So for me, like your music is transformative. Like it takes you from the physical place that you're in into another place, whether that's like a
Oh,
self-reflection or like immersion into the graphics. And I'm just so proud of you.
any emotion that I have, music for me is very therapeutic. And I encourage that on everywhere I go. When I tell people, even my kids, you can hear my son everywhere he goes. He's autistic, but everywhere he goes, he's always singing something. He's always doing something with music, and I'm like, to him, that is his therapy. That is therapeutic, and I encourage it. I encourage you to do something that fits you, that helps you in any type form of therapy. So drawing, music is a huge one for me, and stuff like that. It's
You're
huge.
you're a tremendous leader. For me, thinking about the different like hats that you have, being a parent, being a Latinx parent right now, we a
Yeah.
wild mess. We are just out there.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I think let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about how being a creator or a creative has informed your parenting, or like what do your children know about your music? One of the things I was going to ask you was like, do they listen to it with you?
Oh my God. Do they listen? I just took my son to his swim meet, and he goes down by himself, and he comes running upstairs after the swim, and he's like, Dad, the coach was playing your song. Everyone was listening to it in the swim meet. You're famous. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, they just get so excited. My daughter is like my number one fan. She's always playing me on repeat. So yeah, absolutely. My kids are huge supporters.
And like for me, that's generational wealth. Like for me, that's your son saying, hey, our family's being recognized because you have this inherent talent. You're sharing it with people. And that gives like more confidence, I feel like, for
Oh,
them to have a place in the world. So that's awesome. Like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about what that experience must be like, because some art is so, intimate to
mhm.
share, and then to have like everyone see it. It's so cool. And then to have it be so well received. So let's talk about other things that you do in the community. So you are a friend to me, a role model, a creator. You're also someone who does a lot of civic engagement. I alluded prior about the way that you express your business principles and your values. Can you tell us a little bit about what's unique about the way that you approach business?
So I feel like I already come from a family that just naturally loves to give back to the community. My uncle's a huge staple in the community. He has a salon out on Niagara Street, Ephraim's hair salon, and really, I feel like I get my heart from them. So what I do, my brother passed away 14 years ago, and every year we do a back to school event in his honor, and we give back to the community. We throw a huge event, and we give kids the tools they need to succeed in school, which means haircuts. Sometimes we try to give them clothes if we can, socks, little toys to just uplift their spirit. And this year is the first year we're gonna do a talent show, which is going to be huge. And we're actually going to be featuring our very own West Side child, who's an author. Uh,
I think, oh my goodness. Like,
uh,
so
so
yeah.
exciting, AJ is an author, and he is your son. And he's going to be featured in our event this year. And he wrote a book. So he gets to tell the kids that are going to be coming to the event, who are going to be showcasing their talent, his book, and showing people, like, look, guys, I can do this, so can you. And same thing, goes for the children that are gonna go on stage and dance, sing. They're gonna all get up on stage, and they're all gonna win, because they're all winners to me. And it's just gonna be exciting. So I can't wait. That's gonna be in September. Uh, so
You're
yeah.
You just like humble me. And when I think of the West Side, right, we have 45 different languages at most of our schools. Like you think about our neighbors, right? We're coming from all over different social, political, cultural lenses, right? Some of which are homegrown, some of which, are new. Like we take care of each other. And
Yeah.
there's not one day that I'm not motivated by a West Sider who's out there just doing the work. Like Laape, you are not looking for an award. You
That's,
are not doing this because you're
well,
like, oh,
I
let's
award,
call the media. I know I have to
yeah,
say it, but la gente que nos conoce, en verdad, porque like there's a lot of people who approach this work like that. And I think for me, that's what makes me want to push you to the limelight. Like he doesn't even want to tell anybody he's organizing all of this because like those are the things that motivate me as a West Sider, Debbie Lombardo, and other people who just do what needs to be done. And I think like it just moves us all collectively forward.
that's it. I mean, you're not paid to love someone. I mean, you don't get paid for that. Your heart is literally a muscle, and you should use it correctly. Because if someone paid me, okay, if someone paid me to love my children, I would probably feel bad and not be able to do it correctly. When it comes naturally is when you can actually love fully, like to your full potential, and that's huge and it's different. It
I
just hits,
agree.
you know.
I interviewed one of my friends and he's with Two Box, and they're in Kentucky, and he has like a really interesting life experience. And I asked him, like, what's the biggest gift you can give someone who's new to America or just new in a space, no matter what that space is? And he literally looked at me over the phone from Kentucky on the radio and was like, friendship. And that's kind of what I feel like you're saying is like
Yeah,
authentic friendship is
yeah,
better than I was using an analogy of a hot dog, right? Because Puerto Ricans, we like to give away pinchos and t-shirts.
right. We
You
want
know the Puerto Rican
to
vibes.
give out food, like come, come, come. Here's a plate. But
Yeah. That's community organizing. Food work is love. And I think for you and I and others who have the lived experience of being embraced, in certain times by folks who are Latino of great faith, they're a faith and food. They
mhm.
go together. So we just out here. Like I'm just so proud of you in so many different lenses. So tell me a little bit, okay, because I get accused sometimes of like feeling like I know it all. So tell me something about you that I don't know. That you're like, oh my goodness, you're gonna be shocked to learn.
I don't know. I mean, you kind of know me very well.
Okay,
Don't-
so you've done a lot in your young life, including allowed me to interview you. I think this is the second time. So you took a chance on me back when my podcasting and my interview practice was new. And I'll never, 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 never forget what it felt like to have that interview and to be so like just honored to talk with you. So even in that piece, right? I learned your story.
yeah.
You've done so much. How old are you? Tell people what like just give an idea of your
Well,
youth and
I mean, I'm 31. I'm 31 years old. I was born in the 90s. Let's see. What
you're
don't
a 90s baby.
I am a 90s baby. I was born in 91. Um, I'm a Scorpio. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, but I'm a Scorpio too. And I'm like, I love you. This is incredible. And okay, so I say that because I think that okay, so thinking about your son and like the coach playing your music and all that, being able to get to a place of recognition at such a young age, you look at other artists from our community like Griselda and others who like have this amazing story of persistence. Like, tell me what like success feels like to you, because I feel like it's like what we talked about, but I know that your audience is global, and I want everyone to listen and hear you.
Oh, I mean, success is really this, living a full life, seeing my kids happy, seeing them very happy. I am a single father. I don't know if you knew that. Um, so seeing them happy just with me is a blessing, because I know what it feels like to miss a parent. I was raised with just one parent as well, and sometimes you feel guilty as a parent, um, and you feel like what did I do to mess up where my kids can't have another parent around? So sometimes I get in that little hole, but then I gotta climb myself out and say, wait a minute, because my kids are happy, genuinely, even though they miss even though they are missing another parent. I'm doing my best to provide them as one parent doing both things.
Yeah.
So
It's to make them feel affirmed.
right,
Like
yeah. A lot
Them.
of affirmation in this family. A lot of affirmation. Every day I tell my daughter, she's the princess. She's beautiful. I tell my son he's a genius. And my oldest all the time, I tell them all the time they're great kids. They're wonderful. They're doing good. Whatever it needs, whatever they need to know to keep going.
Yeah. And I experienced that energy when I met you in person. So today, obviously, we're not interviewing in person because this will go live to YouTube as it needs to, because people need to see and hear from you. But when I did meet you in person, I felt an immense energy of generosity, of just like, I mean, I think you told me, you're like, you're doing great. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, this is my first interview. I think I apologized like 1,000 times.
But you did so good, and I was amazed. I didn't think that was your first interview. I'm like, she's lying.
It
There's
was
no.
yeah, it was my first interview in the space. So let's talk about the person that connected us, and let's talk about other people who inspire you. Who are people who, if people are watching right now, who are like, you know what, I really want to achieve that place of either enlightenment or self-confidence. Like, who are the people that you look to for inspiration in those moments of self-reflection or
So
places?
I have a best friend who doesn't live here. And she's very inspiring. Like, she could like light up a whole room and she doesn't even know it. She has like all these things that she has. She says she has like ADHD and all this other stuff, but you couldn't even tell. Like, you look at her and you're like, no way. She says she's shy, and it's like, no, like, she took a chance, got out of Buffalo by herself, and to me that's huge. I'm like, you did this, like, that's inspiring on its own. So that's one person that I have to say is very inspiring. The second person is here in Buffalo, Jordan. His name is Jordan. He is amazing. Oh, he's my heart. And he was there for me, like, out of nowhere. I went through this huge surgery that I had to go out of town, and I was in bed for like 3 weeks. And he literally left that same day that I got up from surgery and was like, I'm going to be here for you. And he stayed at the Airbnb with me. He literally helped me. I couldn't walk, so he helped me up. He did, and we just became best friends after that. It was just amazing. I never met another human that had a heart like mine. So I was very, I cried because I'm like, I can't believe you're doing this. I barely know you. I just met you. I literally just met you, and you're doing this for me. So it was amazing. It was.
Where's your bestie now? Where did they move to?
The one from out of town, she
Yeah.
is in DC.
Oh, cool. Because I just talked to, so the person who I interviewed right before you, she's from New York and moved to Texas. So I was like, if they moved to Texas, that's crazy. Because so many people,
Yeah, they're making the jump.
but
Yeah,
I feel like everyone knows that Buffalo or upstate New York or Western New York is always home.
always
It's
home.
just this idea of like, how do you be or live in both places and take advantage of these other networks where people really see us as trendsetters, as creative people who they see as catalysts. So speaking of Jordan, like I think for me, having connections with mutual people makes I feel like our connection stronger. But for those of you who don't know, like, I've known him for the greater part of my life. And I think that different levels of friendship or different levels of relationship, even those that are non-romantic, have been so important to me lately because it's like you need a village of people to pour into you.
And
And
it's
like,
important for people to know that it doesn't have to be romantic. Once I went through my divorce, in my head I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna find love again. And I learned how to love unconditionally without being in a relationship with anyone. And I'm learning how to just connect, just fill my heart up with so much, just so much love without having it to be, without being romantic with anyone. So it's important for people to have those connections, not just romantically, but as a friendship, someone to trust.
yeah, and I don't trust a lot of folks, and he's
Yeah.
basically my cousin, so I'm like, "Okay, I know your mom, like, I know where to find you," like, but he is
Right.
someone that I also, like, respect, because of his discipline.
He is, yes, that's what it is.
That man is disciplined.
That is exactly what it is. He's very disciplined, and he is very honest, and he is very loyal. And and he will tell you how it is.
Yes,
So I love that about him, and I love that, even when he does tell you how it is, it's always very,
with compassion.
it's with compassion. Yeah, he
Not
doesn't
like my mom.
hurt. He doesn't, he's not gonna bit there and just, no, he's gonna like, hey, come here, I gotta tell you something. Sit down. Before he tells you whatever he needs to tell you, and then he'll even offer ways to fix it. Like, this is how we're gonna fix it. Don't worry. Like, don't worry about that. We're gonna fix it this way. So yeah, he's amazing.
That's
He
incredible. I think it's so important for our friends to coach us through what we're processing, but then also be key people in putting together that plan of action. And anybody that can instigate that ideation phase, we're like, okay, now we're planning. Now, nosotros, tú sabes, cocinando, like we're doing it.
yeah,
Like anybody who can be that person, you're like, you need to stay. Like you need to
right.
stay. I'm just so proud of you. And I think for me, part of the purposes of this interview, and I begged you to interview with me, and I'm not afraid to say that, was to just share you with the community and say, hey, like this is someone that I look to for inspiration. You should too. And then also, like, this is an amazing time of celebration. I feel like it is Pride Month. Like, there is it's National Dinosaur Day,
Oh
June
my god,
1st.
awesome.
People react that way. Multiple people have reacted that way. They're like, how did I miss this? And I'm like, I love millennials. Like, we're tapped in. But like, tell me, like, what does it feel like? Because I know I've called you a statewide leader, and I know that you understand, and your advocacy probably has, and likely has, and I know does have impacts past the state, right, into the national level. You made a video for me. The video that you made was so touching. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your motivation for
Yeah,
making the video. So we were doing Glisten's Day of Observation against LGBTQI, and I like to add Two Spirit, bullying, right?
yeah, it's huge for me. For those that don't know, I'm also a trans man. But what that means is that I used to be a woman and I transitioned into a male. Um, with that being said, you know, having awareness for the LGBTQ is huge for me, especially this month. Every day, it doesn't have to just be a month, but every day. I just heard about what happened with the Target issue where they just
I don't know about it. Tell me.
so
And
they
by
took
the
out.
way, sorry, Labit, that was back in April. So for some people, just to give context, you're obviously advocating year round. I didn't mean to misrepresent that. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're absolutely no, you're fine. But in Target, they took down the displays for the LGBTQ, the proud, the little display that they have when you enter the Target, because some people found it to be nasty, rude. They didn't like it. They didn't want it there. They didn't want them advocating anything like that. Trans people, gay people, uh, or any kind of people, any kind of queer people. So Target took it away, and I see both sides of the story. I see the reason why, and I see but I also don't like the fact that they're hiding it again. We fought so hard not to be hidden. You know, we always hid. We always had to hide behind something so that we don't get attacked. So now I feel like we're going backwards again. What's going on in Florida, what's happening with Target. I feel like it's causing us to be afraid again. Like, oh my God, no one can find out that we are trans people because they'll kill us, or no one can know this because they'll beat us up or they'll bully us. So I feel like we're going backwards again, and I really hope that's not the case. I really hope people aren't afraid, and I really hope that people continue to speak up and spread love, because ultimately that's all it is. We're humans, and there's good people and there's bad people. There's not going to be, I'm not saying that every LGBTQ person is good, because they're not. Just like not every person in the world is good, you know? So there's good people and there's bad people. And I hope that they don't just label us as, these creatures or aliens or something scary, like we're going to be contagious, because we're not, you know?
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so mad. So just two things really quickly. The buying power of the community is outrageous. So
Mhm.
like if Target decides to move in that trend of not expressing solidarity in that way,
Yeah.
there's no way as a business person where I could say that's not going to affect their relationship with all of us, right?
And I
So
and I feel like Target should have done a broadcast on that. If they didn't, I haven't checked the internet, so don't quote me. But I feel like they should have broadcasted something saying, "Hey guys, we still love you guys," but because they're saying, something happened in one of their stores where it got physical and they wanted to protect their employees. They said, "We're gonna take this out because we can't. We have to think about our the safety of our employees." So I understand that part. I understand you want to, but what about our safety? Because now you're pushing us away and telling us, hey, you guys need to go back there and hide, because if not, you're gonna get beat up. Well, why doesn't someone step up and say, no, you're not? You're not going to beat this person up
Or
because of,
this is a safe space.
right, because this is a safe space. Create a safe space. Uh,
Okay.
don't tell us to hide,
Yeah.
because again, we're hiding, you know. So it's tough. It is a tough situation.
um
Bless you.
So thank you. I'm a consumer that's driven by values. So I can say that if I felt that a company or corporation wasn't expressing solidarity and they're a place where I spend a lot of my money, I would try to shift that support, right?
Yeah,
So my hope is that that's not the case, because I love me a good Target run, but I can live a different life.
right.
Number two, so many people are prepared to make that decision. And that's what I think is solidarity at this point, because it's really about the spending power.
My undershirts are literally the only undershirts I buy are from Target. So if
Right.
I have to go get another store, I will. But I hope that's not the case, because like you said, I mean, Target's the shit.
It is. It was. We gonna check in with them. We gonna get back to everybody and make sure. Okay. The second thing that I really want to say, and for me, and I think for if like you're just watching me right now, you're like, oh my goodness, I've never talked to you. I've never seen any of your interviews. Like I'm a political scientist and a historian, and what troubles me from that perspective is people's lack of understanding of the eugenics movement and how that directly led to the Holocaust and other genocide of othered people, right? And how some of that was othered, whether it was people with different abilities like myself and some of my siblings, and or people who are gender fluid. Like the eugenics movement said that certain races, us, right, were lesser, and they based an entire biomedical system around it. So here's me. We're not going for the bullshit. And that's my perspective. And like as a Latina who knows my history with the biomedical system, we were tested on, we weren't always included in decisions relative to health and policy, and it wasn't because we weren't educated in them. Tainos, took care of ourselves for thousands of years before colonial or European science arrived in the Caribbean. Like that's what troubles me, is that people don't understand that when you take a display down, you're basically saying we co-sign those type of
Mhm.
behaviors or that type of thinking. And as a differently abled person, that scares me, because it's not just about, and not, I want to say it's just about someone's identity. It's about all of us, like you said,
Yeah.
feeling othered in a space where used to be, like for so many of us, a place of celebration.
And it's scary, especially for me, especially because I have children. If
Yeah.
I already outed myself to the world and I showed them that it was okay to do it. Now are they afraid to tell people that, my dad's a transgender man? I don't want that for them. I don't want them to be afraid to tell people, if they have to, that, that we are, that I am who I am, and you can be who you are, freely, without being bullied
You're
or
a good
judged.
American.
Right,
Hello.
right.
You're a leader. So,
Exactly. It's tough. It's a tough situation now. And even Florida, with what they're going through, I'm like, oh, should we even travel out there? I don't know, because
no,
we can't use the bathroom without
no.
being against the law. So it's very tough. It's very
I
tough.
think I think for me, because we're gonna spend like maybe 8 or 9 minutes together before we close the space. We've gotten to a point where this is a deciding factor. And I wrote a poem about why I am vocal about my support of various communities. And the poem literally starts with, I don't care if they're going to dock my pay. I don't care if someone's going to hire me or not. For me, the most important thing is, as an American, I can look at my son and say, I was on the right side of history, and I fought for other people who were good Americans who needed my help, because that's what this whole nation is about. And like us having this place on building this digital space, I think we're doing it in solidarity with other people who, like you said, cannot physically speak out because they will physically put themselves in danger. So for me, like a moment of silence for all those people who are living like that in different places. And I would say, like, you are the type of person I just want to draw people to, because you bring that inspiration of a hope for tomorrow, I think, to so many.
Thank you.
So at thinking about your video that you made that impacted me. Again, it's available on Latina Herstory. We made that with Glisten in observance of our day of anti-violence. What was the day of silence? Even though I was talking all about it, I can't stay quiet. And with the feature that literally just made history. I just want to thank you for your support, and I want to just ask you like 2 questions in finality. What makes you say I need to be a leader? Like, what is it that makes you feel like you should step forward when they call leaders? Because everyone has that decision every day. And I feel like you step into it so organically.
That's exactly it. Organically. I think I was just born to do this. I literally just naturally, I'm drawn to it. Like I don't even ask for it. It just happens. Like, Aiden, you're the one. Come here. You got to do this. And I'm like, okay, give me the mic. So yeah. So yeah.
And then my last question is for someone who's watching you and is new to the industry or is maybe nervous or trepidatious about expressing their uniqueness in whatever way in their music or in like their artistry, what advice would you give them? Because I feel like you're true to yourself as an artist, and not everybody like was out there when they saying they was out there. So just checking, like what like motivates you to remain authentic?
I feel like the best way to do it is really sit with you. If you, in whatever spirit world it is that you connect with, sit down and pray to that, pray to whatever it is that you pray to, and feel it in your soul, feel it in your heart, and let it come from there. Whatever it is that you need to do, let it come from your heart, genuinely. Don't expect nothing in return. You're doing it for yourself. And then once you know that you're doing it for yourself, that's what's going to reach whoever it is that's going through whatever it is you're going through in that moment that you're connecting. Because I feel like we're all connected. This is all, this is what it is. We're all connected. So when I write something from my heart at that moment, it's going to connect to whoever it is that's feeling that same thing I'm feeling. So that's what it is. That's, you just got to connect. That's it.
Well, thank you for giving me your time for a second time. Like, thank you for representing our people, right, as Puerto Ricans and our neighborhood so well. And I mean that seriously, because you, for me, represent the West Side, and that place my family's been a part of for 100 years, and it's so important to me. Like I love to tell that story. So thank you for leading. Like you're huge. Just remind everybody where to follow you, and then I will say if y'all are listening right now and you're seeing us on YouTube, we'll also be on Swell at swell_talk. Shout out to at swell talk at swell_talk India. They already know the vibes. And so we'll be on YouTube. We'll be there. You'll see clips of us on Instagram, but just let them know where to follow you personally as we close out the space, because I just want to make sure that they have an opportunity to follow up and listen to your track.
Yes, sir. So follow me on Facebook, Aiden P. La Ape. And same thing with Instagram. Find me on Aiden P. La Ape, and YouTube, Hungie Records, Hungie Records with a Z.
Thank you, America. That's live Tally Talk straight from the West Side. I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending some time with me and my amazing friend.
Peace.